Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the new N-scale layout build. If you're watching last time, you will have seen me complete the lower helix. This week I'm just going to continue where I left off and start framing the middle level. So without further ado, let's just head out into the workshop and get busy. With the helix almost up to the second level, I have started this morning on framing up the middle deck. The client does not want to have to attach the railroad to the walls at any point in his basement, so I have to make sure the railroad is freestanding, and this will help to allow for that. It does mean that there's going to have to be front supports along the staging level. That can't be avoided. And this corner gusset at the end stops the unsupported end from twisting. I will show you how that works later. And because the posts are not necessarily directly above the legs, I have put that stiffener along the bottom. You can see it standing up. And the combination of that piece and the frame underneath at the back will provide a strong beam to bridge the gap. Anyway, before I went in for lunch, I did frame up the piece that goes on top of there. It is sitting over there on the workbench. But I have to do some shimming at this point, because when I cut these posts, I forgot to allow for the fact that the 3/4 inch plywood is actually slightly less than 3/4 inch thick. The end piece is correct, but I have to put thin plywood shims everywhere that the benchwork is going to sit on it. Well, there is that section permanently positioned. I have 3 legs at the front. Note that 2 of the cross members are doubled up. This one and that one. Those are going to have the C brackets pretty much the way I did them for the Keweenaw and Scenic Valley Railroad. So if you want to check out the videos for that build, you can get a preview of what they're going to be like. That will allow the upper deck to be secure without any front supports. This piece doubled up is the first piece of the frame that goes above the helix. I haven't actually decided how to build that yet. I know I need one at 90 degrees to it from this corner to above where the drill is sitting. And then that will be the face plate that the next benchwork section is bolted to. But I still have to do some more working out before I can continue that far. I think this section is basically just going to be a case of making it up as I go along. So I'm just going to get on with that quietly. Don't go away, I'll check in with you again later. Well, this is about the size of the framework that goes over the top of the helix to support the second level. It's not quite right at the moment, although the back and the side that's clamped in place is correct. This front piece and the one that's going to replace the level needs to be lower. They need to be down at this height here, because the last 9 inches of climb is done through the visible canyon scene. It's only half a helix. So if a design with no helix is a no-lix, then I guess this is a half-lix. Well, this is how the framing works on this piece. I realized I'd already done all the working out when I worked out the next bit. I needed a series of 11.5 inch deep frames that I could cut to get the 2 different levels. The frame here is a lot lower than it needs to be for this scene, but the idea is that I want to keep the same bottom of the fascia height all the way through the next canyon scene. And because there is a river that comes down about 3 inches below track level in the next scene, that's why the frame is lower than it would appear to need to be. At the moment, most of this is just temporarily clamped in place. I have installed these 2 legs. I need to get some bolts in where that level is, holding that frame straight. Then I need to get the front and back members parallel, and then I can mark where this needs to be cut and install that bit. And I think that leg is about the right height, even though I haven't made a proper one yet. So let me get back to work and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, the outside of that frame is now done. It's properly attached in all the corners. I still need some internal framing to support various other parts of the railroad, but I'll work that out tonight and continue tomorrow. There is still a triangle missing here. I'm not going to frame that in this week. The client has asked me for a modification. This end of track that is part of the reversing loop is going to get a curved turnout so that there is a bypass track hooking up to one of the front staging tracks at this point, and he's going to do the same the other end. That will give him a continuous circuit on only the staging level. It's kind of useful to have so that you can run trains, test locomotives before you've got trains operational on the rest of the railroad. Actually, in retrospect, I don't know why I didn't suggest it earlier. But anyway, there's going to be a curved turnout cut in there, so it'll be a lot easier to do without too much framing in the way. And this leg can just be removed. It's not actually needed to support the railroad. It's only needed for stiffness once the upper deck is installed. I still have this 4-foot level clamped to the side of that frame because last time I checked it wanted a bow. Although now that I have this leg in, it will probably hold it in the right place. So I'm just going to take it out and see if it stays where it is. If it moves, then I'll put it back in again. But otherwise, that's all I'm going to do today. It's after 6 o'clock. I'm going to go in, feed Zeus, and I will check in with you again tomorrow. Don't go away. Well, it is Tuesday today. Yesterday was Memorial Day, and I got along very well. First thing I did this morning was to install the missing feeders at the top of the helix, 2 yards of track, 2 more sets of feeders, and then do a helix test, run a locomotive up and down it on both tracks just to make sure I had no crossed wires. But the main task for today is to extend the benchwork. I'm working on the next frame. Here is most of it on the bench. It's upside down at the moment. It's quite complex. It's not a rectangle. Although it does have 2 parallel sides, it has 2 corners cut out and one end is at an angle. It also has 2 curves, and as you can see, it's on 2 different levels. So it's quite complex, but I think I've got it worked out correctly now. Anyway, let me turn it over and offer it up into position just to make sure it fits. Well, there it is, test fitted against the rest of the railroad. And it seems that I've got it right. I'm going to have to remeasure it and check it against the plans before I go any further, just to make sure I haven't goofed up somewhere. And then there will be a straight diagonal piece from this corner to that corner where the clamp is. And then once I've got the next frame in place, I can work out where the curve goes, and I will fill that in later. The next piece that goes on here is a triangular piece. And then the one that fits on the end here is a straightforward rectangle, although it is on 2 different levels. And if I've got it right, the gap between this front piece here and that short piece in the camera now should be 48 inches. That is the end of his main aisle. So I'm going to measure that just to make sure I got it about right. Don't go away, I'll check in with you again later. I said it should be about 48 inches, and if I get the tape positioned properly at the other end, there it is pushed against that frame. Well, I would need a micrometer to tell if there was any error. I'm going to call that good. Well, this section is now complete and properly installed. It is bolted to the previous one, and I have the permanent legs installed and braced. I've still got a lot of wiring holes to drill, but I don't really know where they have to go. I put in the ones that I knew about before I assembled it, but I'm going to have to figure out where the others go later on. I haven't done the two curved pieces yet along this front edge and in this back corner, because I need to get all the straight bits in first so that I can plot those accurately. Well, with the first 3 frames done, that is all for this installment. Next time I'll build some more. So until then, thanks for watching and bye for now.